This is the Washington Times front page for Thursday, June 4th, 2026. Thanks for joining us. I'm George Gerbo. Iran escalated tensions in the Middle East by bombing an airport in Kuwait and targeting a U.S. fleet in Bahrain. Von Cockane and Tom Howe report the U.S. military said it intercepted attempts to strike American bases overseas, but the attack on Kuwait International Airport killed at least one civilian and wounded dozens of others. Renewed violence and the prospect of an economic stalemate raised new questions about whether the Middle East ceasefire existed in name only and whether negotiators could reach a deal to end the conflict, with President Trump telling reporters a ceasefire there is much different than a ceasefire in other parts of the world. Trump is working to approve a memorandum of understanding with Iran that would lift the U.S. blockade of Iranian ports and reopen the Strait of Hormuz, while setting the table for final talks over Tehran's nuclear program. Speaking to the New York Post, the president said he would also like to meet with Iran Supreme Leader Mojtaba Khamenei to talk about the conflict. President Trump has reignited his trade war with a plan to impose tariffs on 60 U.S. trading partners more than 3 months after the Supreme Court struck down his other levies. Jeff Murdoch reports the Trump administration will impose tariffs of 10% on imports from Canada, Mexico, the European Union, Taiwan, and Britain, among other places, according to the Office of the U.S. Trade Representative. Imports from other major economies, including China, India, Japan, South Korea, Brazil, and Switzerland, will face a 12.5% tax. U.S. Trade Representative Jameson Greer said he has the authority to impose the tariffs under Section 301 of the Trade Act of 1974, which empowers the United States to take action against unfair foreign trade practices. In this case, the administration is targeting countries that permit or fail to prohibit goods made with forced labor. European Union Commission spokesperson Olaf Gill called the tariff proposal unjustified, noting that the EU banned products made with forced labor in 2024. Republican Steve Hilton currently holds a slim lead in the California gubernatorial race, one that will likely be wiped out once all of the state's mail-in ballots are counted. Susan Ferricchio reports Hilton was leading the more than 60 candidates in the race with 27.6% of the vote to Democrat Javier Becerra's 25.5%. The top two candidates in the primary advanced to the general election, regardless of party. Still, millions of votes have not been counted, and those mail-in ballots traditionally lean Democratic. In the governor's race, only 58% of the ballots have been tallied, and in the Los Angeles mayoral race, only 63% have been counted. In that race, incumbent Karen Bass leads former reality TV star Spencer Pratt 35% to 29.9%. Ballots postmarked by Election Day in California can arrive as late as June 9th and be counted. The Secretary of State has until July 10th to certify the results. A recent survey shows the share of Americans struggling with food insecurity has increased. Sean Salai reports the Federal Reserve Bank of New York found the share of U.S. households with limited or uncertain access to adequate nutrition more than doubled from 4% in 2020 to 10% this year. The bank highlighted meaningful increases from October 2025 to February 2026 among non-white, low-income, and child-rearing households that skipped meals, dipped into savings, or sought public assistance for food. Bureau of Labor Statistics figures show grocery costs have risen 25.2% since February 2020. And finally, Trump administration officials are in talks with Azerbaijan to fine-tune deals with officials that would offer potential land-based Asia to Europe connections. Jacob Wertschafer reports Assistant Secretary of State Caleb Orr is representing the administration and hopes to build on a strategic partnership signed in February. The Americans are just one contingent among the more than 45 countries in Azerbaijan this week for the Baku Energy Forum. Find all today's front page stories at WashingtonTimes.com/front page or on the Washington Times app, and find us wherever you get your podcasts. You can also find us on social media at Wash Times for breaking news, sports, commentary, and more. For the Washington Times, I'm George Gerbo.